Gotta hit the button there, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call the Senate to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Barnett. Here. Senator Barrett. Here. Senator Blackman. Senator Blackwell. Senator Blunt. Here. Senator Boyd. Senator Branning. Senator Bryan. Senator Butler of the 36th. Senator Butler of the 38th. Here. Senator Carter. Senator Kaufman. Senator Chazanal. Senator Chisholm. Senator DeBar. Senator Delano. Senator England. Senator Fillingane. Senator Frazier. Senator Harkins. Senator Hickman. Senator Hill. Senator Hobson. Senator Horn. Senator Jackson. Senator Johnson. Senator Jordan. Senator Kirby. Senator McCon. Senator McDaniel. Senator McClendon. Senator McMahon. Senator Michelle. Senator Moran. Senator Norwood. Senator Parker. Senator Parks. Senator Polk. Senator Seymour. Senator Simmons of the 12th. Senator Simmons of the 13th. Senator Sojourner. Senator Sparks. Senator Suber. Senator Tate. Senator Thomas. Senator Thompson. Senator Turner Ford. Senator Whaley. Senator Wiggins. Senator Williams. Senator Younger. Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Will the senators and the gallery please rise for the invocation to be given by Dr. C.J. Rhodes, who's the senior pastor at Mount Helm Church in Jackson, Mississippi. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Blunt. Dr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Governor. Let us pray. Almighty and all-wise God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. How excellent is your name in Mississippi. We thank you for bringing us safely to this place, this body where men and women elected to represent Mississippians deliberate about the future of our state. We ask, O Lord, that you would grant these senators divine wisdom and understanding, that you would give them clarity of thought and speech, and allow all that they deliberate about bring forth justice and liberty, particularly for the dispossessed and disadvantaged persons, citizens in rural towns and urban cores throughout this great and beautiful state of Mississippi. We also ask, O Lord, that as they gather today to make decisions for our great state, that they would keep in mind that we have a long history of backwardness, of biases, of bigotry that has kept our state from flourishing. We are particularly thankful for the young people of our state who unfortunately have to move to other states in the South and around the nation for better opportunities. We ask that what this body deliberates about and votes on would keep young people in mind in particular, so that Mississippi can become all that you intend it to be. We thank you for the Lieutenant Governor and the entire staff and every senator here and on the way. And we pray that you would, by your power, give them what they need to govern well and wisely for your glory and our collective good. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. He was at Duke before that.
Uh-oh, my son went to North Carolina. Okay, Now to the reading of the journal. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Message and petitions. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Committee reports. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next, the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions. To recognize Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Introduction of guests. Senator Carter, you're recognized for an introduction, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the West and South Gallery today, we have a group of our friends from Entergy, Mississippi in the gallery today. These are some of the 2,500 employees in Mississippi. Entergy Mississippi is celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. I also want to point out that John Arledge is here today. It's nice to see him in the Capitol. Would you all please stand? Let's have the Senate make you welcome.
Thank you, Energy, for keeping the lights on. Senator Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't believe our doctor of the day is here yet, but I do have another group I'd like to recognize as well. In the South Gallery, on behalf of senators representing both Hinds counties and Lauderdale counties, I'd like to recognize the Mississippi Children's Museum, who's with us today. Representatives are with us today. As y'all know, that was a state investment that we made several years ago. Mississippi Children's Museum was recently named as one of the best children's museums by USA Today and received a national merit by the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, which is only awarded to 3 museums in the country. The museum also has been recognized by the Mississippi Tourism Association by receiving the Governor's Award for Attraction of the Year for both locations, both Jackson and Meridian, and named Best Museum and Best Attraction for Kids by Mississippi Magazine. I'm proud this amazing institution that is serving so many children and families in Mississippi is with us today. Executive Director Susan Gerard, would you stand and your team so that we can welcome you to the state capitol, please?
Thank you, Senator Michelle. They make miracles. Senator McCon for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the North Gallery, I'd like the Senate to help us make welcome a group of students who are here from Russell Christian Academy. This is their 4th grade class, and they just finished up a unit about the state of Mississippi. They're here with their administrators and their parents here in the West Gallery, so let's make them feel welcome right quick. And Mr. President, behind them, I'm going to take just a point as an attorney who practiced in the East District, the East part of the state. We have a distinguished young man up there who served on the bench for a long time. Judge Coleman is there with his grandchild. So we want to make Judge Coleman feel welcome. Thank you, Judge Coleman.
Thank you, Judge. It's good to see you. And welcome to your Senate. Senator McMahon, you may recognize for introduction, sir.
In the West Gallery, I would like to ask Tyler Kemp to stand on behalf of Senator Sparks, Senator Bryan, and myself. He is the grandson of one of our former colleagues, Senator William Herman Kemp, and he is also one of the brightest minds in North Mississippi, representing ICC, and in his own right, he was once voted the friendliest man in Itawamba County. Let's give him a big welcome.
Welcome. Any other introductions? Senator Frazier, recognized. I have Senator Frazier first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request 4 privileges for the representatives from Hinds Community College and also Mr. Al McClinton with DFA.
Floor, seeing no objection, floor privileges are granted. Mr. Sergeant at Arms, would you show the guests to the floor?
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, on March 23rd, 2021, I was sitting in my office and I heard this loud commotion outside my office. Didn't know what it was, kind of scary. Looked outside and the wind had blown down our flagpole. That was quite nerve-wracking. Some look at that flagpole as being scrap iron, but I saw it being more than that. That flagpole had flown our old state flag since 1922, and now it's flying the new state flag. And that 80-foot steel flagpole was installed on the Capitol grounds in 1922 by the Pole and Tube Works of Newark, New Jersey. When it came down, I approached the Rules Committee by the vision I had. I said, that's too valuable to be scrap iron. That's very valuable history. So we got together and decided to lean on Hines Community College. I had been a student and I know what kind of work they can do. They came together and came up with a nice momentum for the Mississippi legislature using that flagpole. So they're here this morning representing Hines Community College and going to present the members with their final products, the vision we had back in 2021. And Mr. President, in addition to Hines Community College, Al McClinton with DFA played a very big role in making sure that this vision came to fruition. So at this time, Mr. President, I'd like to recognize our president of Hines Community College for a few words and recognizing students.
You're recognized, sir, to address the Mississippi Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Senator. We are so excited to be here today. When we were first approached about this project, probably about a year or so ago, I'll be honest, I didn't know what we were going to do, but we said what we always say, which is, we'll do it. And so we decided we would step forward, and I'd like to thank not just Senator Hillman, but also Brenda Davis, our curator for the Capitol. Her work behind this certainly instrumental. Also like to thank the DFA Director of Maintenance, Al McClinton, and his staff. They were the ones who delivered the flagpole to the college, and they also provided some equipment that we needed to help finish this project off. But the majority of this project was done by our students. And at Hines, we talk a lot about our mission being to help people find their purpose, their passion, and profession. And these young people are finding their purpose, profession, and passion right now at Hines Community College. And they helped put this together. And I hope that when you look at these mementos, you will see not just an aesthetically pleasing item to put on your desk, but something that will help remind you of the history of our great state. And so again, I'd like to thank these students for their work. I'd like to thank you all for what you do to support us. I know you're at the end almost of the session, and I know many of you are weary and ready to go home. And I want to say thank you for your sacrifice. People complain a lot about what doesn't get done, but they're not here, are they? You're the ones that are here doing the work. And so I want to say thank you for that. Philippians 3:14 talks about pressing on to that prize for the upward calling. So I would ask you to focus and press on these last little bit of time as we finish the session. And again, thank you so very much, and I hope you can appreciate these mementos, and it'll remind you a little bit of the history of Mississippi. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And by the way, the tall gentleman is my cousin, so you can't mess with me today.
Thank you, Hines Community College, very much. Very special for y'all to do that for us. One moment, please, Senator Younger. We're just about done. Thank you all very much. These are for ornate purposes only and not to be utilized during any heated debates, which we'll probably have here shortly, so keep them on your desk, Senators. Senator Younger, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want the Senate to be aware of some special friends I have over at the smokers table. William Hilbin and his lovely wife, Kathleen Hilbin, and Brian Montgomery and his special lovely wife, Courtney Montgomery. Please give them a hand, Senate. Thank you.
Senator Jackson, for what purpose, sir?
Introduction.
Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you walked into the Capitol this morning, you saw some people that had green and white. I think they're in the South Gallery, representing Delta State University on behalf of Senator Simmons of the 12th and Senator Simmons of the 13th, myself and Senator Jordan. We're going to welcome them, ask them to stand, and ask the Senate to make them welcome.
Senator Delano.
Introduction.
Please proceed, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate in the South Gallery, I've got a couple of people from the coast that I'd like to introduce. Laura Lacoste and her son Cannon came up yesterday, and Cannon enjoyed it so much he wanted to come and watch us work again this morning. So please make them feel welcome.
Good morning and welcome. Senator Hickman.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask for 4 privileges for Coach Mitchell McMurray and the Lady Wildcats girls basketball team.
Privileges are granted with Sergeant Arms. Please escort the guests to this chamber.
Mr. President, I'd like to call up Senate Resolution number 71 and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Resolution number 71, a resolution commending and congratulating the Louisville High School Lady Wildcats girls basketball team and head coach Mitchell McCurry for winning the MHSAA Class 4A state championship, which is their 3rd title in school history. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Mississippi that we do hereby commend and congratulate the Louisville High School Lady Wildcats girls basketball team and head coach Mitchell McCurry for winning the MHSAA Class 4A state championship, which is their 3rd title in school history, and extend the best wishes of the Senate to the team, coaches, parents, and sponsors for future success. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Coach Mitchell McCurry and the Louisville Principal Danya Turner for the team, forwarded to the Board of Trustees of the Louisville School District, and made available to the Capitol Press Corps.
Mr. President, on behalf of myself and Senator Branning, we want to certainly congratulate this hardworking team. They, as you guys know, as you've seen, that Louisville and Winston County has no shortage of talent. They are some amazing young people, amazing athletes, and they have an amazing coach that have led them to this victory, and we believe that they'll do it over and over again. Mr. President, this time I would like to ask that Coach Mitchell McCurry be recognized to address the Mississippi State Senate.
Coach, you're recognized to address the Senate.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here today. These girls behind me have done a wonderful job this year. We set goals for ourselves early part of the summer last year about getting to this point, and I had a lot of seniors. Well, I got 4 seniors who all will be playing college ball somewhere next year, which led us to a great season this year. And they laid the foundation because this is my second year being at Louisville, and I was excited. I knew we had the talent, and it was just getting it out of them. And I'm excited for the future, for their future, and it's all about making sure they have an opportunity to have a chance at life. Thank you again.
Thank you, Coach.
Mr. President, I also want to bring to the body's attention, I understand that these ladies are not only tremendous athletes, but they are tremendous academic students in the area. So I'm just very, very proud of them. Thank you all for your time and attention, Senate.
Congratulations, ladies. Well done. Senator Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would like to ask for floor privileges for the Germantown Lady Mavericks, winners of the MHSAA State 6A Championship.
Floor privileges granted. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the guests to the chamber floor.
Also like to ask Senator Michelle if he would come up and join me, and Senator Blackman and Senator Horn. Already here, right behind. All right.
Dennis, I'll ask him.
Yeah, y'all come on down.
Can you try to squeeze on
Yeah, so we can kind of get in. You know, the wait is over for the Lady Mavericks. This morning, the Lady Mavericks 29-2, winners of their first state championship in the school's history, 12-year history. This is an incredible team led by an incredible coach, Coach Jamie Glasgow. Mr. President, if you would have the resolution read at this time.
Clerk, please raise your hand.
Senate Resolution Number 62, a resolution commending and congratulating the Germantown High School Lady Mavericks girls basketball team and head coach Jamie Glasgow for winning their first MHSAA 6A state championship. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Mississippi that we do hereby commend and congratulate the Germantown High School Lady Mavericks girls basketball team and head coach Jamie Glasgow for winning their first MHSAA 6A state championship, and extend to the team, coaches, parents, and sponsors our best wishes for future success. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to head coach Jamie Glasgow and Germantown Principal Wesley Quick for the team, forwarded to the Madison County School Board, and made available to the Capitol Press Corps.
Mr. President, I would like to ask for permission for Coach Jamie Glasgow to address the Mississippi Senate.
Coach, you're recognized to address the Senate.
Thank you so much for having us and for recognizing all the hard work that these young ladies have done, not just this year, but in the years past to get us here. We appreciate all the recognition, and thank you for having us.
Thank you, Coach.
Any other senator would like to say something at this time?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. We're just so excited to have this great team and outstanding coach to be with us, and we want to gather around.
Come on, ladies, get where they can all see you. Coach, there you go. Thank you very much and congratulations, state champions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Senator Thomas, you recognize.
Mr. President, I would like for floor privileges for the Yazoo City Indians 4A state champion boys basketball team Senate Resolution SR 63 to have floor privileges.
Sergeant Arms, please escort our guests to the chamber floor.
Also like to ask Representative Brian Clark if he would join us, and any other Senator Hobson, he's right here, to join us at this time. Come on, Representative. Okay. You know, the wait is over for Yazoo City, the city. This morning, we have the Yazoo City Indians, Class 4A state champions. The MHSAA 4A state champions, the Yazoo City boys, were selected to represent our great state in the second annual Champions Invitational Tournament in Washington, D.C. This event is hosted by ESPN, is a 3-day single elimination tournament held in Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. The Indians will play Canyon out of Utah on Thursday, April 6, 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN+. This incredible team is coached by Coach Anthony Carlisle, who has won 6 state championships. His father, Archie Carlisle, now retired, has won 7. Combined, they have won over a baker's dozen. What an incredible father and son coaching legacy they have made in our great state. Mr. President, if you'd have the resolution read, I would appreciate it.
Clerk, please read the resolution.
Senate Resolution number 63, a resolution commending and congratulating the Yazoo City High School Indians boys basketball team and Coach Anthony Carlisle for winning the MHSAA Class 4A state championship for the first time in 27 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Mississippi that we do hereby commend and congratulate the Yazoo City High School Indians boys basketball team and Coach Anthony Carlisle for winning the MHSAA Class 4A state championship for the first time in 27 years, and extend the best wishes of the Mississippi Senate to the team, coaches, parents, and sponsors for future success. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Coach Anthony Carlisle and Yazoo City Principal Dr. Kelvin Fuller, forwarded to the Yazoo City School Board, and made available to the Capitol Press Corps.
Mr. President, I would like to ask for permission for Coach Anthony Carlisle to address the Mississippi Senate.
Coach Carlisle, you're recognized to address the Senate.
We just want to thank you on behalf of Yazoo City High School. Thank you guys for having us, Senator Thomas. On behalf of the basketball team, our administration, we're just glad to be recognized in front of you guys today. My assistant coaches and these guys have done a great job all year. A lot of times my name is mentioned, but those guys are the ones that do the work, and we just thank you for having us today.
Y'all guys, get up closer there so I can get you all in the picture. Come on. Come on in a little bit. Get where they can see you. That gold ball looks really pretty.
Congratulations, fellas.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Y'all all, where y'all live in Yancey City? All over?
Now, y'all.
Well, tell them I said hello when you talk to them. Listen, I always use this line every now and again. Famous saying that said, Cadillac gives you a Pinto finish.
Senator Williams, you're recognized. 1 second. Senator Michelle, for what purpose?
Our doctor of the day has arrived. May I please recognize him?
Sir.
Thank you. On behalf of Senator Chad McMahon and myself, we'd like to welcome a familiar face to the Senate chamber, Dr. Patrick Whipple, medical doctor in family medicine practice with MEA Medical Clinics in Madison. Please join me in welcoming him to our beautiful state capitol building.
Thank you. Senator Branning, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an introduction out of order, please.
Please proceed.
In the West and South Gallery, I would like the students here from Philadelphia Junior High to please stand. These students are actually 7th and 8th graders. They're members of the Junior High Student Council and the Junior Beta, and we're so happy to have them along with their instructors Peggy Scales and Kimberly Killen. Thank you all for visiting your capital today.
Senator Horn, for what purpose? Pass. Senator Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would like to request floor privileges for Brian Montgomery and his family and friends, Mr. President.
Floor privileges are granted. Sergeant at Arms, please show our guests to the chamber floor.
Mr. President, on behalf of Senator Younger, Senator Ford, Senator Harkin, Senator Boyd, and myself, I would like to ask that Senate Concurrent Resolution number 562 be read, please.
Mr. Clerk, please read this resolution.
Senate Concurrent Resolution number 562, a concurrent resolution to designate October 2023 as Walker Montgomery National Catfishing Awareness Month in Mississippi, to bring attention to the victims of catfishing on social media, and to direct the State Board of Mental Health to develop recommendations to the legislature. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Mississippi, the House of Representatives concurring therein, that we do hereby designate October 2023 as Walker Montgomery National Catfishing Awareness Month in Mississippi, to bring attention to the victims of catfishing on social media. Be it further resolved that the State Board of Mental Health is authorized and directed to develop a report to the 2024 regular session of the legislature defining the problem of catfishing on social media, with emphasis on the effects of this activity on young adults in our state, with recommendations on appropriate corrective programs and legislation. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to the family of Walker Montgomery, transmitted to the State Board of Mental Health for proper dissemination, and made available to the Capitol Press Corps.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, before me stands one of the bravest men I know, Mr. Brian Montgomery. I introduce Mr. Brian Montgomery to you of Starkville, who suffered the catastrophic loss of his son Walker Montgomery to the awful scam of sextortion known as catfishing, which the dictionary defines as the process of luring someone into a relationship by means of a fictional online persona. Mr. Montgomery's loss would have been enough to shut most of us down and cause us to shy away from the pain. But Mr. Montgomery did exactly the opposite of that. He has channeled his pain into a public education campaign, appearing in February on Fox News, warning the nation about the signs of sextortion and telling us how to be better parents in a modern world of technology that often causes us to drop our guards, leaving our children very vulnerable to the awful damage that the use of unmonitored cell phone usage can do. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you a true hero, Mr. Brian Montgomery. Mr. President, I ask for speaking privileges for Mr. Brian Montgomery to address the Mississippi Senate.
Mr. Montgomery, you're privileged to address the Mississippi Senate. Please proceed.
Lord, I appreciate that. Appreciate that introduction. You know, this is probably a little bit different what I'm going to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of information about what happened to Walker and what happens to other kids, but as a body, I want to think about, why are you guys here? Why are we here? Why are any of us here? What is our core motivations as people? Because we're living in a world now where some of those things seem to be threatened. And so I'm going to refer us to Matthew in the Bible, chapter 22, verses 37 through 40. And it says, and he said to him, he was speaking to the Pharisees, you shall love your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depends all the law, which I think is important, and the prophets. So as lawmakers, why are you guys here? You're here to serve the people, and your motive should originate from a core principle of love for one another. That should be the core principle that motivates all of us. I believe my family's presence here today is evidence that that's what happens in our state. And I want you guys to know we appreciate it, we recognize it. With that in the background, I want to thank you for the opportunity and your support. It seems odd to thank you for an opportunity with knowing what led us to this point in time. On December the 1st, my family woke up to the most unimaginable tragedy that any daddy or mama or brother or sister could dream up. So is it an opportunity? What is the opportunity? Well, in the most basic form, the opportunity is to be loved. We feel loved. Thank you. And to love others. So with that in the background, what can we do? Well, we believe the first line of defense is awareness. This legislation and my family's mission to make everyone aware of the trap is part of that. But what I want to think about is, what about next year? It will be something else, and evil will evolve. They're going to figure out a different way to devise schemes and strategies to make a dollar on somebody else's devastation. So parallel to awareness, we must enact legislation to start talking about this Section 230 and mandate age verifications and protections for minors. Tech companies have no incentives to give parents protections. Social media companies make money on traffic. Well, what we're talking about is limiting traffic. We must take our responsibility seriously as parents and adults to protect kids. We wouldn't tell a kid, here's a bottle of whiskey, drink safely, be responsible. As a legislative body, we've all decided that we're going to give parents some guidelines, some legal guidelines to be able to refer to for that prohibition. So what's reasonable? Is it reasonable to suggest we don't want minors watching pornography, and so the age limit should be enforced? It's reasonable to suggest we want our children to learn to communicate verbally, not through a device. It's reasonable to suggest we don't want them to be able to conduct a drug deal over Snapchat. It's reasonable to suggest Instagram could have recognized and can recognize an IP address originating from Nigeria as a fake account going to a minor. That's what happened to Walker. All I ask is for us to pursue reasonable safeguards as we talk about technology. So that's in the future. I understand that today we're focused on a campaign of awareness. I again want to thank you for your support and friendship. You have demonstrated to me that this is not about scoring political points or votes for motivations. Your motivations are based on love, compassion, and sympathy, and I'm forever grateful for that. My family is forever grateful for that. This past weekend, we received a letter from the Office of Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann stating that the Senate adjourned in memory of Walker by motion from Chuck Younger, a close friend of ours, standing behind us. So my question around that is, how many families have lost a child that didn't receive this kind of support? I can tell you that living through this tragedy without the support of our friends, family, and state community throughout this country would have been impossible. I'd like to personally thank Bart Williams, local friend, William Hilbin. William, I know his only motivation to promote this was his love for Walker. And he loved Walker. So I want to come back to the question. Is love the Lord your God as your neighbor and your neighbor as yourself? Is that an outdated biblical story that's naive or gullible in today's society? Unfortunately, sometimes it seems like it is, especially when we consider the people that told Walker his life was over. Walker said, "I'm going to kill myself." They said, "You're already dead." So when we think about those kind of people, can we combat that kind of evil with love? I believe these people think love is weak and hides in a corner when confronted with violence and hatred. The message I want to remind those people of is that we are not hiding. We're not fearful, because our God, 100% based in love, will bring judgment. Judgment will occur. As hard as it is to say, that same love is available to that person in Nigeria that is responsible for my son's death. I want to remind those people the sacrifices that we, this country, the United States, has given for love of family, love of country, and most of all, love of our God. We should never underestimate the power of that love that God offers to each one of us, and never forget, none of us were eligible for that love. He chose us. So I'm going to close that by saying that I'm just asking you to protect our kids from the evil that lives in this world, because it's out there, and we've crossed that point where technology, social media, the internet is a real problem for our kids. Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery, thank you for your braveness. Thank you for courage to do this. Children will be saved because of your efforts. On behalf of the Mississippi Senate, I'd like to present this resolution to you.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Ms. Montgomery, thank you. Senator Hill, for what purpose?
Introduction out of order.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I'd like to draw your attention to the North Gallery. We have the Poplarville Hornet High School cheerleaders and their coaches. They are the national champions from their first ever competition in their division at Disney World. And their head cheer coach is special to me because I grew up with her mother. So I know she was raised well. So would y'all please stand and let the Senate make you welcome and congratulate you.
Thank you. Welcome. Congratulations. All right. Moving to the calendar. Chairman McMahon.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. Call up item 1 on today's calendar and ask the title be read.
Secretary, please read it.
House Bill number 1528, Benton County authorized to contract with and/or contribute to the Institute of Community Services Incorporated.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Please proceed, Senator McMahon.
Board of Supervisors of Benton County is requesting at their discretion to contribute annually $60,000 to the Institute of Community Services, Inc., also known as Head Start. And line 13 and 14 shows it has a repeal date of July 1st. If there aren't any questions, I move for passage on the morning roll call.
Questions? Seeing none, Senator, as moved for passage, use of the morning roll call. Anyone object to the procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Polk. Present. Anyone else? Anyone else? Bill passes. Wrong. I'm sorry. Hill. Hill. Present. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. Bill passes.
Skip item 2, call up item 3 on today's calendar. Ask the title be read.
Change its place on the calendar. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1703, Coahoma County authorize reserve and trust fund trustees to use certain amount of fund to supplement county general fund.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator McMahon.
The real crutch of this bill is in the very end of it. These supervisors of the county of Coahoma County, they have a operator that operates their health center, and they're unable to make their lease payment this year. So the county would like to access a special fund they have set up. They would like to access some of the interest on that fund, $500,000, to help supplement the lease this year for their operator. That's what the bill does. Yield for any questions.
Questions on the bill? Questions? Seeing none, we're ready for a motion, Senator.
Move for passage on the morning roll call.
Use the morning roll call been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Court is voting no. Hill, present. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing none, bill passes. Motion to reconsider.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion to reconsider yesterday's Senate Bill number 3146.
One moment, please. One moment, Senator. Which item is that, sir?
On yesterday's calendar, it was item 33, Senate Bill 3146.
On today's calendar, where is it?
It's not on, it's on yesterday's calendar.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill 3146, Lowndes County authorized to contribute local fiscal recovery funds to certain nonprofits.
Senator, you're recognized.
Okay, I would like to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of Senate Bill number 3146 to reconsider the vote by which it passed yesterday. I have an amendment I would like to present to the body.
Suspend the rules. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator.
Okay, so I know yesterday we had a healthy debate on this bill. This is the Lowndes County bill to contribute, where the county was going to contribute funds to some nonprofits. I have a lot of respect for Senator Polk. I gave a lot of consideration last night to his argument, and I would like to make an amendment. And the amendment will be another paragraph, paragraph 10, and it would say, no funds contributed under this act shall be used by the recipient nonprofit for salaries or for personnel bonuses. I think it's a good amendment. I think it strengthens the bill. It still allows the nonprofits to do their work. And I ask you to support the amendment, and I move for passage of the amendment.
Senator Sparks, for what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
You for a question, Senator?
I do.
Senator Sparks is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the amendment. The concern, I think, is that there was an argument made for local government, and I get that. The bill itself does refer to local recovery funds. Is that correct?
Yes.
Versus anything the state would have appropriated. This was direct appropriation to Lowndes County, correct?
Yes, sir. We discussed that yesterday, that these were funds that went directly to the county.
And no one is saying the long list, there were about 7 or 8 different organizations that money was going to be passed through the county, which is their money, directly appropriated from the federal government to Lowndes County. But they came to this body to ask for permission. Why?
They came to this body to ask for permission to be sure that they had the authority to do it, because it's already state law that many times counties have to ask for permission to appropriate money.
Okay, so they're not asking for this body to give them a pass.
That's correct.
Because the federal treasury guidelines will ultimately dictate, and if the state auditor or anybody else reviewing this, what we do here today is not going to impact that.
That's correct.
As well as the fact that if these dollars are clawed back, and this is maybe the only other thing I would want to make sure if we're going to amend this bill, is that if these dollars or any other dollars are clawed back from local funds that did not pass through this legislature, that the state's not going to be responsible for that clawback. Lowndes County would be responsible for this clawback.
That is correct.
Okay, because I just want to be clear, if the legislation is to do what we did several times yesterday with local and private bills, because we have to give authority to a governmental entity to donate money to a non-governmental unit, that's one thing. These were ARPA dollars. They're the local, direct appropriated to the county ARPA dollars, or recovery dollars. But at the end of the day, this legislature is not putting a stamp of approval on any of these projects, and they'll be subject to the same rigors of any other county or this state under the Treasury guidelines. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, so your limitation of what they can spend it on still doesn't absolve them of anything from the Treasury guidelines, and this legislature has no authority to tell them what will be clawed back or not.
That is accurate.
All right, thank you.
And what we're trying to do is, one of the things I love about this body is all the different personalities and all the different ideas. I think this is a good amendment. It strengthens it. And I think there are going to be more bills like this over the next 1 to 2 years, because some counties have more funds available than they can appropriate for the purposes that were set forth by the federal guidelines. So they're still subject to federal guidelines. They're still subject to it. But that's what we're doing here. I do think this strengthens the bill. If there are any more questions, I move for adoption of the amendment.
Senator Jordan, for what purpose, sir?
I have a question about.
Are you for a question, Senator McMahon?
I do.
Thank you, Mr.
Jordan, you're
President.
recognized.
Thank you, Senator McMahon. Why is this amendment necessary based on what the attorney just said? Why is it necessary?
Because it restricts these organizations from taking the money for salaries or for personal bonuses.
Well, are the counties responsible for their action on these resources? Why would the state have to do anything? The county that the resources are designated to are responsible for their reaction. These are federal funds. And why is it necessary for us to do anything but to allow them to do what they should do, since they are totally responsible? Why does the state have to get involved with anything other than allowing them to use those resources and let them be responsible to the government, federal government that supplied those resources?
Because I want to be sure these nonprofits utilize the funds to help their community and strengthen their community and not take it for personal salaries.
But you're not responsible from a state level. They are. Both the supervisors.
I'm responsible for it in this bill. If you want this bill to pass, I'm responsible for it.
I understand
presenting it to this body for you to vote on it.
Yes, sir. I understand what you're saying, but the responsibility who has allowed them to use those resources are solely responsible.
I don't see why we have to do anything.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Senator Hobson, for what purpose, sir?
Introduction out of order.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure to introduce the superintendent of the Yazoo County School District up in the South Gallery with Representative Ford and Leah Smith. And I'd ask Ken Barron to please stand and have the Senate recognize here today. Thank you.
Welcome. Appreciate what you do. Senator Carter.
Question, Mr. President.
For a question, Senator McMahon?
I do.
Please proceed, Senator Carter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you agree this amendment's probably going to keep a lot of people off the state auditor's Facebook page?
I don't know. I'm not a social media expert. I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to help these nonprofits to strengthen what Lowndes County's doing and to help these nonprofits do their work and to be sure the money is used in a proper manner to help the people of these counties and to provide the services needed. And like Habitat for Humanity, they do great work. Great work. Some of these other organizations in here do great work. But let's put the money where it's supposed to go, into the actual resources of strengthening the community and strengthening the county.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator. Thank you, Senator Carter. Other questions on the amendment? Seeing none. Senator, we're ready for your motion.
I move for passage of the amendment.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
If there are any other questions, I move for final passage based on the morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Does anyone object to that procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Polk, no. England, no. Harkins, no. Present. Parker, present. Sparks, no. Delano, no. Blackwell, present. Branning, no. Anyone? No. Thompson, no. McClendon, no. Present. McClendon, present, please, ma'am. Anyone else? Anyone else? Bill passes. Thank you, Senator McMahon. We're back on the calendar. Okay. Motions to reconsider? Concurrence or non-concurrence? Senator Bryan, Senator Wiggins. Which number, Senator Wiggins? Senator Bryan? Which number, sir?
Go to item 6 and ask that the title be read.
Item 6, Senate. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2323, Community Hospitals Allow Consolidation and Collaboration Involving Other Hospitals.
I move that we do concur, and I would ask the chair to recognize Senator Fillingane.
Senator Fillingane, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, you'll recall, is the Community Hospital Modernization and Collaboration Act of 2023 that we passed a while back. The purpose of that, of course, just to refresh you, is to modernize the community hospital statutes, which hadn't been addressed in about 30 years, to promote and facilitate the collaboration and consolidation of community hospitals and other health systems throughout our state, and to give those community hospitals more flexibility to survive and thrive in today's economy. So the only real changes, and they weren't, I wouldn't even call them changes, they're more clarifications that the House added to our bill, is that if you're looking at the conference report on lines 306 through 313, there was some language that was added, which I think we already had somewhat in here regarding the Singing River Hospital purchase that's ongoing right now. We wanted to protect that and make sure they were not affected negatively since they were already midway through their whole bidding and purchasing process. So that's some protective language specifically for that project on lines 306 through 313. And then if you look on line 912 and then really following to the very end of the bill, this language is added along with the rural COPA language in the following section in order to clarify that the private hospitals were also included in this legislation. And when we were discussing and debating it, the feeling already was that it included, our language included privates as well as governmental hospitals. But when it got to the House, they wanted additional language just to make crystal clear that privates were included in this bill, as were the community hospitals. So we have no objections to that. Again, we thought the language we already had was sufficient to conclude that, that point, but our friends in the House wanted to be even a little more verbose in those sections about that, and we have no problem with that. So those are the only two rule clarification changes to our Senate language, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Turner Ford. For what purpose, ma'am?
A question.
You for a question,
Yes.
Senator? Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when the bill originally passed the Senate, it only pertained to community hospitals.
Well, the original language on the bill that was originally filed only pertained to community. When the language left the Senate, we really thought it already included privates as well. The only difference was when it got to the House, of course, people got to looking at it more closely as it moved along the process, and they felt like there's some additional language. If you look starting on line 912 and really through about 915 was the key language, and then there were a couple of code sections added that were clarifying on lines 915 through 1139 to just make crystal clear that there was no question whatsoever that private hospitals were in fact included. And really the only part that private hospitals really were concerned about, to be honest with you, was the antitrust protection. So, for instance, if you're operating too close geographically from one hospital down the highway or the street to another hospital, there were some federal laws and some state action laws that said if you're too close together, then you can't collaborate, you can't purchase, you can't do collective like purchasing or collective administrative oversight of those hospitals under the antitrust regime, just because, you know, the idea, I suppose, being that if you have more of those entities in a small area, it's better in some ways because of competing prices and driving the price down. Of course, we know in the hospital space and in healthcare, because about 85 to 90% of the costs are dictated by either the Medicaid, Medicare, or TRICARE, or Blue Cross Blue Shield in our state, to be quite honest with you. About 85% of those costs are dictated not by the free market, you know, of competition, lowering prices and all that, but by the government or a governmental entity telling us, or telling the doctors and hospitals what they will pay for procedure A, for a hip replacement or knee replacement or a particular drug. So the idea that we would not allow people to collaborate to try to keep costs down, regardless if they were right down the street from each other or across the state from each other, really seemed to be outmoded and outdated thinking on this particular legislation.
And I think this model exists in other states.
Yes.
And has it been challenged?
Anytime it has been challenged, it has been, that I'm aware of, it's been upheld by the courts. As long as you have this language. Now, you have to have this, what's called the COPA, the Certificate of Public Advantage language, which is what this includes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator.
If there are no other questions, I think the motion is that we do concur by use of the morning roll call.
One moment, sir. Senator Jordan, for what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one question.
Sure.
Mr.
Senator,
Chair.
you for a question? Senator Jordan, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is this the same bill? How much resources are still in that bill? How much money is still in this bill?
Okay, so there's no dollars in this particular bill. I think you're referring, there's a secondary bill that deals with grants to our hospitals across the state.
Yes.
That is not this bill. This bill has $0 in it.
What it does,
it just provides more flexibility that when the hospitals get those dollars that they're going to hopefully get in a different bill, that they'll be able to spend it more efficiently and more flexibly.
So it's what rules for spending the resources one, but you don't know how much the other bill contained. Somebody told me
I think it started around 83 million is
83,
the figure I've heard, but, it could go higher. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that one.
Yeah. What are the distance between the hospitals? You said there's a certain mileage difference.
I don't know the exact mileage, but it's basically within the same town. Basically, if you've got multiple hospitals located in the same town or city, they view that as within the same service area, and that would be the ones that would be negatively affected under current statutes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Blunt, for what purpose, sir?
Introduction of guests at the proper time, Mr. President.
One moment, please, Senator. Let's finish this bill. Any other questions on the bill? Okay, Senator, now we're ready.
If not, I move that we do concur by use of the morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to procedure? Card is voting no. Present. Seeing none, the bill passes. Thank you, Senator Fillingham. Thank you, Senator Bryan. And we're next, Senator Blunt. You please proceed with your introduction. Out of order, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Jackson delegation, I would like to ask the students and their teachers at Whitten Middle School, who are in the North and West Gallery, to stand. Whitten Middle School here in Jackson. They're accompanied by their teacher, Mr. George Stewart, and their counselor, Dr. Robinson. We're glad to have these students here at the Capitol today. Please make them welcome.
Okay, Chairman Pope. Chairman Bryan, do you have another one, sir?
Number 7. I would go to the next item on the calendar, Senate Bill 2750, and ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2750, Automated External Defibrillators in Public and Charter Schools Grant Program established.
I move that we do concur, Mr. President. This bill merely establishes a fund into which funds for automatic external defibrillators may be provided. If the Appropriations Committee decides to fund this program, it would be necessary to have this underlying statutory authority. The bill that went to the Senate, the bill that went to the House had a reverse repealer. The House merely removed the reverse repealer. We need for the bill to take effect. Therefore, we need to concur in the House amendment. If there are no questions, I suggest use of the morning roll call.
Questions on the bill? Seeing none, use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Seeing none, passes. Thank you, Senator Bryan. Now we're back. Senator Pope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I call up item number 8 and ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2053, Deficit Prevention Act, requires state agencies to notify certain officials when likelihood of a deficit exists.
Mr. President, I move that we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur and invite conference. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Pope.
I'd like to call up item number 9. Ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2054, appointed state officers provide for the removal of for certain forms of willful neglect.
Mr. President, I move that we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur and invite conference. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator Pope. Thank you. Senator Bryan.
Mr. President, I ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title. Number 10, sir.
Senate Bill number 2369, Department of Human Services, extend repealers and revise certain applicable sections.
I move that we do concur. Mr. President, the House bill is similar to the Senate bill in all major respects. They added some language about reemployment of people who've been fired. The consensus of everyone I've talked to is that that language is harmless, and if it creates any difficulty, whoever is here in January can deal with it, but the agency says they have no problems with that language. For that reason, if there are no questions, I suggest use of the morning roll call to concur in the House amendment.
Thank you. Senator Wiggins, for what purpose, sir?
Question.
You here for a question, Senator Bryan?
Yes.
Senator Wiggins is recognized for a question.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, is this the bill that, now that we're here, removed CPS or no longer has CPS with under DHS? Is that right in this bill? Or do we know?
This extends the repealer on the Department of Human Services. I think there's some conformatory language. As I understand it, it just coincides with the existing situation. There was some old language that no longer is effective, and so they've changed like the word department to another term, things like that. But I think it just codifies the existing situation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wiggins. Other questions? Okay, Senator Bryan.
Again, I suggest we use the morning roll call in concurring in the
Use of the morning roll call has been requested by Senator Bryan. Anyone object to that procedure? Court is voting no. Present? Seeing none? Pass. Senator Pope? I'm sorry, Senator? Senator Hill, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, Chairman Pope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up item number 11, as the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2514, Secretary of State, clarify authority to transfer land records to Department of Archives and History.
Mr. President, I move that we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator Pope.
Mr. President, I'd like to call up item 12, as the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2844, Bureau of Fleet Management, revised duties thereof.
Mr. President, I move that we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator Pope. Thank you. Chairman Chasnoff. Pass. Chairman Pope, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have called up item 14, as that title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2673, Mississippi Real Estate Appraisal Board, make independent from Mississippi Real Estate Commission.
Mr. President, I move we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur. All in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator Polk. Thank you. Chairman DeBar. Chairman DeBar passes. 1516, retain place on calendar. Chairman Whaley. Chairman Whaley passes. 17. Chairman DeBar passes. Chairman Polk. Back on 19, Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up item 19, as the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2538, Mississippi Regional Pre-Need Disaster Cleanup Act, create.
Mr. President, I move we not concur and invite conference.
Motion is not to concur. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Pope. Number 20 retains its place on the calendar, Senator Pope. Chairman Wiggins. We're on 21, Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Go to that item called up, ask the title be
Clerk,
read.
please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2090, Board of Funeral Services, revised provisions related to.
Thank you. My motion will be that we do concur and be allowed to explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator Wiggins.
Thank you. Senate, this is the bill that was requested by the Board of Funeral Services. It went to the House. There was only one change, which was to put it back to current law and dealing with multiple family members. I spoke to those who were requested it, the board members and the directors. They are fine with the change from the House, and so we are fine. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? Senator Moran, for what purpose, sir? All right, will you hold, please? Senator Hill, for what purpose, ma'am? Question? Senator Wiggins, will you yield for a question?
I do.
All right, Senator Hill, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you basically just explain what you were talking about, the requested change was?
Yeah, so if you, and I'm going to try to identify it, if you look at on line 632.
Okay.
Yeah. So line 632, they put that back in, they moved that. We had, in our bill, we had mentioned about multiple family members and trying to get the exact language. And what they did was removed our change and put it back to current law. And so what you see there, a surviving child who's at least 18 years of age, that's current law. And so that was the change they made.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Other questions? Other questions? Seeing none, Senator?
My motion is we do concur, Mr. President.
Motion to concur by?
By the morning roll call.
There we go. By use of the morning roll call. Anyone object to procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Seeing none, passes. All right, want to go to the Senator Moran for your introduction out of order.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could get everyone's attention to the South Gallery, some of my neighbors and dear friends, if you all would please stand up. We have with us today our very own Constable, Mr. Terry Necase, his wife Darlene, sister-in-law Brenda, and their grandsons. They are actually on a tour through the Southeast, touring all the state capitals, and they're here today at our beautiful capital. I'd like for everyone to make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome to your capital. We go to conference number 22. We have no conference reports filed, so we'll skip to page 29, Senate. General calendar, Chairman Parks, Senator Parks. Senator Parks. Okay, she's not present. Let's see, Senator Kaufman. Senator Kaufman. Senator Kaufman passes. Senator McDaniel? Pass. Chairman Moran, Senator Moran? Pass. Senator Carter? We're on 263, Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 12, Robert Paul Mosley Sr., Clark County, Mississippi, Commercial Mobile Radio Service Board as the Mississippi Association of Service Supervisors representative, 4-year term effective July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2026.
My motion is we do advise and consent and be recognized to explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator.
This is a reappointment by the governor. There was no derogatory information in the peer report. He has filled out his statement of economic interest, and we'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions on the nomination? Okay, Senator, ready for your motion.
We do advise consent on morning roll call.
Use of morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to procedure? Court is voting no. Present? Seeing none?
I'd like to skip 264 and 265 and go to 266, have the title read.
Advising consent is granted on Mr. Mosley. 264-65 retain their place on the calendar. 266. Please proceed, Senator. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 48, Charles Jim Beckett, Bruce, Mississippi, Executive Director of the Mississippi Public Utilities Staff, remainder of 6-year term beginning September 23rd, 2022 and ending June 30, 2026.
I move we do advise and consent and be recognized to explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator.
Mr. Beckett came in front of the committee. We found no derogatory information on the peer report. He has filled out his statement of economic interest, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions on the nominee? Questions? Seeing none? One moment, please. Senator Bryan, for what purpose, sir?
A question.
Will you yield for a question, Senator Carter?
Yes, sir.
Senator Bryan's recognized for a question.
Mr. Chairman, I observe that this term begins in September. And I notice that it is a 6-year term. It just sort of strikes me as odd that we'd be sitting here in March dealing with a term that begins 6 months from now. Suppose there was a term that began in 2023 or 2024. Is there any restriction on how far in the future we can confirm appointments?
I don't have the answer to that question.
Oh, I'm sorry, it says 22. This is 2023?
Yes, it's 2023.
It was a great shock to me when we moved from 1999 to 2000. I've been addled ever since.
Well, of all questions, I was not expecting that one, so.
Never mind.
All right.
Thank you, Senator Bryan. Other questions on the nominee? Other questions? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready for your motions.
I move we do advise and send on morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Does anyone object to the procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Present. Simmons present. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing none?
Hill present.
Pardon me? Present. Hill present. Anyone else? Advisory consent granted. 267, Senator Carter.
That's the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 64, Melissa Ann Bryant, Panola, Mississippi, Commercial Mobile Radio Service Board as a representative for the National Emergency Numbering Association, Southern Public Service Commissioner District, 4-year term effective July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2026.
I move that we do advise and consent be recognized, explain.
You're recognized to explain, Senator Carter.
This is a reappointment by the governor. The peer report indicated no derogatory information, and a statement of economic interest has been filed. I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions on the nominee? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready for your motion,
I
sir.
move we do advise and consent on morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Or is voting no? Present. Seeing none. Thank you, Senator Carter. Advisory consent granted. Chairman Bryan.
Mr. President, I intend to ask that the rules be suspended to consider items 268 through 292 in a block. And I suppose the proper procedure is to have those titles read at this point.
First, Senator, we'll ask if anyone objects to en bloc on any of those. I'll give you just a moment. 268 to 292, Senate. 1 minute, Senator. Let's give him a moment to look at the individuals.
Put them all aside. Clear to the end.
Okay, have a motion en bloc 262, items 262 on today's calendar to 292 on today's calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator Bryan. Mr. Clerk, Mr. Secretary, would you read the titles 268 to 292, please, sir?
Senate nomination number 29, William Eugene Gene Loper, MD, Ridgeland, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure, to represent the First Supreme Court District, 6-year term beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice Daniel Edney, MD. Senate nomination number 30, William David McClendon, MD, Ocean Springs, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure, to represent the Second Supreme Court District, 6-year term beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 85, Renea Dotson, MD, Greenville, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure, to represent the First Supreme Court District, 6-year term beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2028. Vice Charles Miles, MD. Senate nomination number 31, Dr. James David Jim Herzog, Ogdenford, Mississippi, Board of Mental Health, 7-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2029, representing PhD clinical psychologist. Senate nomination number 32, Tommy Ray T.J. Adams, Jr., Fulton, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as a registered nurse in clinical practice, 4-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026. Senate nomination number 33, Sandra Susan Culpepper, Poplarville, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as an LPN, 4-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026. Senate nomination number 34, Carly Taggart Walker, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as a licensed practical nurse, 4-year term effective November 28, 2022, and ending June 30, 2026. Vice Shirley Jackson. Senate nomination number 72, Jane Marie Janey Clanton, RN, Meadville, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Nursing as a registered nurse in clinical practice, 4-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026. Senate nomination number 3, Paulette Jackson, Jackson, Mississippi, Mississippi Leadership Council on Aging as a representative from Community Volunteer Councils on Aging, term effective August 25th, 2022, and the appointee shall serve at the will and pleasure of the governor. Senate nomination number 10, Susan Neely Berry, D.C., Flora, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Chiropractic Examiners, remainder of a 5-year term effective June 28, 2022, and ending April 20th, 2026, representing the state at large. Vice Arthur Jack Hall. Senate nomination number 16, Dr. Kimberly Elam Salas, Oxford, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for licensed professional counselors, 5-year term effective July 1, 2021, and ending June 30th, 2026, representing the 1st Congressional District. Senate nomination number 17, Dr. Richard Alman Strebeck, Long Beach, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for licensed professional counselors, 5-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2027, representing the at-large position. Senate nomination number 18, Dr. Melissa Hawkins Wyndham, Meridian, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Examiners for licensed professional counselors, 5-year term beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2027, representing the 3rd Congressional District. Vice Stephen Stafford. Senate nomination number 19, Alexa Lakia Lampkin, DMD, Ridgeland, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Dental Examiners, to represent the dentist member of the board from the state at large, remainder of 6-year term beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026. Vice Roy L. Lyons, DDS. Senate nomination number 26, Martha Hobby Marty Bell, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Massage Therapy as a licensed massage therapist, remainder of a 4-year term effective upon confirmation by the Senate and ending June 30th, 2025. Senate nomination number 35, William Chadwick Blackard, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as nursing home administrator, remainder of 4-year term effective upon confirmation by the Senate and ending June 5th, 2025, representing the 1st Supreme Court District. Senate nomination number 36, Robin C. Rob Skelton, Rienzi, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as a representative of the 3rd Supreme Court District, unexpired 4-year term effective May 23rd, 2022, and ending June 25th, 2022, by Stanley C. Maynard. Senate nomination number 37, Robin C. Rob Skelton, Rienzi, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as representative of 3rd Supreme Court District, 4-year term effective June 26, 2022, and ending June 25, 2026. Senate nomination number 47, Doc Austin Daniel, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi Board of Physical Therapy, 4-year term beginning July 14, 2022, and ending June 30, 2026, representing a consumer at large. Vice, Melanie Woodrick. Senate nomination number 50, Wilmetta Valerie S. Burnett, LSW, Brandon, Mississippi, Board of Examiners for Social Workers and Marriage and Family Therapists as a licensed social worker, unexpired 4-year term effective August 25th, 2022, ending June 30th, 2024. Vice, Aaron P. Pittman. Senate nomination number 52, Gerard D. Tarrant, Biloxi, Mississippi, Board of Examiners for Social Workers and Marriage and Family Therapists. Second full 4-year term effective July 28, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026, representing the licensed marriage and family therapists. Senate nomination number 80, David Kennan, D.K. Curtis Sr., DMD, Columbus, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Dental Examiners to represent Dental District 1, 6-year term beginning February 22nd, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2028. Senate nomination number 88, William Jeffrey Hinton, Ph.D., Petal, Mississippi, Board of Examiners for Social Workers and Marriage and Family Therapists as a licensed marriage and family therapist, unexpired 4-year term effective October 7, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2024. Senate nomination number 27, Tracy Hunt White, Hazelhurst, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Massage Therapy as the licensed health professional in a field other than massage therapy. 4-year term effective July 1, 2022, ending June 30th, 2026. Vice, Catherine Renee Walker. Senate nomination number 38, Michael Ray Walker, MD, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi State Board of Nursing Home Administrators as the licensed and practicing medical doctor or physician. 4-year term effective July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Parker, for what purpose?
Mr. President, I was having a little trouble hearing just that. Would it be okay if the clerk could read those back through one more time for me?
I assume that's the motion. It is denied. All right, Senator Bryan. It's 2023, Senator Bryan. Let's go.
Mr. President, as you can see, the Public Health Committee had a large number of nominations. We still have 2 or 3 to deal with later. But the committee had members who have been appointed to some of the major committees come and visit with us. I believe you put it all together, we spent about 2 hours having conversations with these individuals. And I believe it is very useful for members, particularly on the major boards, to come and visit with us, for us to visit with them, have an interchange, get to hear about them, get to hear their ideas, and have us an opportunity to express concerns that we have. I think it's a very valuable experience for everybody, but I want to point out that these individuals had to drive to Jackson from all over the state, and I believe there's some portions of the state even farther away than Amory. So I appreciate them coming, but as regards all of the nominees, I think all of us should remember that we have hundreds of citizens serving on various boards and commissions, primarily out of civic duty. And we are fortunate, and the people of the state are fortunate, to have these individuals willing to serve on these various commissions. Having said that, if there are no questions, I suggest use of the morning roll call in advising and consenting to these nominations.
Question, Senator Seymour. For what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr.
Are
President.
you for question, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Seymour, you're recognized, sir.
Senator, did all these nominees file their economic statements with ethics?
I believe they have. We had peer committee look into that, and I believe that everyone who had not filed has subsequently filed, and I believe we're all up to date there. I can't promise we haven't overlooked something, but I know that we asked a number of nominees specifically about that, and we had others directly contacted about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Seymour. Other questions? Okay, Senator, your motion. We're ready for your motion, sir.
Again, I suggest use of the morning roll call in advising and consenting on these nominations.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. You want to object to the procedure? Court is voting no. Present? Anyone? All affirm? Thank you. Go to announcements. Announcements, Senator Carter, you're recognized for announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Mississippi Energy Institute and I invite everyone to attend the Mississippi Energy Policy Success Story. It's at the Old Capitol Inn from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We have David Holt, he's the president of the National Organization of Consumer Energy Alliance. He'll be having some brief remarks, and we're going to talk about the great energy policy that we've passed in the state of Mississippi, and there will be a networking reception following.
Thank you, Senator Carter. Senator McMahon.
I'd like to call a local and private meeting tomorrow at 2:30 in room 210 or upon adjournment tomorrow.
Upon adjournment at 2:30, Mr. Secretary. Senator Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. President. We need to have one more business and financial institution meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30 in room 409. We still have a few more confirmations.
9:30, 409, Mr. Secretary. Senator McCon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to announce that Forestry is having a confirmation hearing for two individuals Thursday at 2 p.m. Should be rather quick. They are reappointments. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thursday at 2 p.m., Mr. Secretary. Senator Johnson for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Education Subcommittee on Nominations will have a meeting at 9:45 a.m. in the morning in room 407.
9:45, Mr. Secretary, 407. Senator Branning.
Announcement, please, Mr.
Please
President.
proceed.
I'd like to call a Highways and Transportation Committee meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock in room 216. We've got two confirmations that we need to take up.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Turner Ford.
I have a request to be added as a co-author.
Please proceed.
With unanimous consent, I would like to be added as a co-author to Senate Bill 3146, which was brought up by suspension of the rules.
3146, Mr. Secretary. Seeing no objection, granted. Other announcements? Okay, Mr. Secretary, would you read the announcement, please, sir?
Business financial institutions will meet tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. in room 409. Education Subcommittee will meet in room 407 at 9:45 tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Senator. We'd remind the Senate the deadline to concur or not concur on all amendments or other House of General bills is tomorrow. And then Friday is the local and private bills for Senator McMahon. Those are deadline days. Okay, Senator Pope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 5 p.m. today, at which time the Journal will reflect that we're adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you, Senator Polk. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.